Have you learned to appreciate the challenging times, the times when things aren't going your way? Hi, I'm Beth Strathman. Welcome back to my channel. These challenging times when you feel like nothing is going right for you, those can be the juiciest times for your personal growth. They not only help you see ways that you can become a better person, they also serve to help you peel away old beliefs and behaviors that just aren't working for you anymore. Those beliefs and behaviors that your ego put in place so you could basically survive through your childhood. So these times when you feel down and out, these are very fertile and important times for you to grow as a person, become less living out of your ego, and moving more towards being the authentic you. When you approach these times with intention and awareness, you'll really see your personal growth start to take off. Navigating these times will propel you towards becoming a more authentic person. And it's usually by giving you a personal experience of a universal principle or a universal value that all human beings can have experiences of. So you might notice cycles in your life where the same themes keep coming up, even though the people, the places, the things are different. It's similar to a previous experience you've had. So for example, maybe you tend to date the same kind of person that isn't good for you. And no matter how much you say to yourself, you're going to find somebody different the next time, sure as shooting, that new person ends up having the same quality or trait that just isn't good for you. Or maybe you make the same kind of mistakes with money over and over again. Even though you say, hey, next time I'm going to do it different. I'm either going to not be such a tightwad and spend a little more money on myself, or I'm really going to curb my spending because I spend too much money on things that don't matter. Doesn't matter if you haven't really dealt with whatever the underlying principle or issue is in play, you'll keep doing that same thing with money over and over again. So it's almost like through the repetition of these similar events, we're given chances to deal with whatever that issue is underneath. It often has to do with these universal principles. And we'll learn to deal with it, but only if we notice that, hey, this is the same thing as that previous experience I had. And it all has to do with a certain underlying principle, a universal principle. So in going through these similar experiences, it's like we're given the chance to have a human experience of this very abstract concept that somehow in our life we need to learn about that to, again, expand ourselves out of our ego to become more of our authentic self. And once you gain the knowledge and experience and the wisdom going through these down times, these challenging times, and learning about whatever the principle is at issue, then we can reaffirm, reinvigorate, refine, embody that principle in a way that it becomes more real to us, more defined for us, and we can also serve as an example to other people around that particular principle. So what are some of these universal principles that I'm referring to? They're concepts, they're abstract concepts like liberty, justice, love, respect, gratitude, bravery, generosity. You get the picture. So in your lifetime, you're not going to deal with every universal principle out there in a very deep and meaningful way. It seems that in our lives, just a couple, like one or two, maybe three of these principles seem applicable to our life and we keep repeating circumstances that reflect that principle in some way, that we reflect what we need to learn about that principle. So let's take the principle of respect. Let's say that you have a job where, for whatever reason, you don't feel like, based on your role and what you think your job is all about, that you are included in discussions and meetings that are relevant to your job, or that you're overlooked for being put on project teams that would be good for you and are still relevant to your job, etc. You might feel excluded, disappointed, frustrated because all of this is happening. So you may start to believe that you need to start doing different things to become respected, right? So you might assert yourself in some way in the workplace that maybe doesn't go over very well. And it kind of leads to even less, from your perspective, less respect than before. And this cycle of events of feeling disrespected, people not including you, etc., will continue to happen over and over again. And you're just like trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And so maybe you become angry enough and decide to leave that particular workplace because they don't respect me. The funny thing is, unless you figure out this universal principle of respect and how it works, the next workplace you go to, you're probably going to end up having the same kinds of experiences. It's just kind of a funny thing that happens. Or maybe the respect issue shows up in your personal life in some way as well. Things won't change around the particular universal principle at issue. In this case, we're talking about respect. Things won't change for you until you get it, right? Until you figure out that instead of blaming others because you don't feel respected, instead of looking outside yourself for respect, that it's really about you having respect for yourself. And after all, it's only you who might be the common denominator. So that's the place to look to find the respect that you are looking for. Until you learn in this case that respect is not about the role that you're in or anything outside of you, even how people treat you. That is not where respect is found. The only place that it would be found is inside of yourself. And until you get that, those same kind of issues where you feel a lack of respect, those situations will continue to happen for you. So you can just extrapolate that to any other of the universal principles that are in the world for us, that are applicable to you. So whatever principle's in play, it's not until you take a hard look at yourself and how you're showing up. And maybe you might not be treating people with respect, the same respect that you want. Maybe that's part of the problem, right? So you got to look at yourself and figure out exactly what's going on. And until you bring that level of awareness and curiosity and humility to the situation, you're going to continue to see those same kind of events happening over and over and over again. When you do finally really start to go inward and look and search inside yourself, you'll start to notice those same kind of outward events that had to do with, in our example, respect, start to decrease, and maybe eventually they go away. They become a non-issue because you're starting to learn about that universal principle and knowing that it starts with you first. You are projecting things out into the world maybe that's causing the lack of respect to be shown back at you. And after you kind of get one universal principle, you really start to be aware of it and start to own your part in whatever was negative for you. Then you might see another principle come up that you need to work on for your own self-development. So over time, going through these repeated cycles of dealing with different events that have a same theme going underneath of them, we learn that this is the way we grow as people. This is a big part of our personal growth and development, and even your spiritual growth and development. You'll learn that over time, this is sort of a cyclical kind of a process that allows you to start to look at yourself very deeply so that you can work on the things that you need to let go of, those beliefs and behaviors that aren't working for you anymore. And when you do that over time, again, you let go of letting your ego control you, and you move towards being a more authentic version of yourself.